I'm not sure of the level of those opponents and where AJ is as opposed to where he was. That said, I do think he's a clear world level heavyweight, and it's hard to bet against him. I do like what Daniel Dubois has done. I do like how he is under Don Charles. I think he's a terrific coach in his management. I think they've done an incredible job with Daniel. I've watched him spar a lot of my guys. I side towards Daniel in this fight. He's young, and what he's got now that I think he didn't have when he fought Joe, and I think he learned a lot from fighting Joe. I think he's got that stickability in him now that he didn't have before, and I think that might prove decisive.
I'm gonna be rooting for Anthony Joshua. I do like Daniel Dubois. I think anything can happen in this, you know what I mean? Don Charles, my guy. Daniel's nice, humble young man who's on a tremendous run right now. But I think experience, the talent, the speed, those are, you know, boxing IQ, and just going, just the cuter boxer is Anthony Joshua. But to say that Daniel's on a phenomenal run, he's beat a lot of good guys recently, Miller, Hrgovic and stuff. But like I've been saying to everyone, if Daniel gets caught in those early rounds like he did against Hrgovic, I don't see him getting out of them between 1 and 4. But hopefully his team have gone and looked at the tape and they'll come up. But Joshua's seen it, done it, man. He's been around the game long. He's long in the tooth, and he knows I think he's just got that bit more experience, and it will probably tell. And he's a big closer when he gets someone hurt. And we'll see come September the 21st. But I wish both guys the best of luck.
I said it in an interview a couple of weeks ago. I think Joshua will knock out Dubois in the first half of the fight. I think they're both very similar. They're both very big men. That let's not kid about it. They're both mutants of men. Let's face facts. I think if they punched 90% of the population, they would kill them. Do you know what I mean? Probably. Their arms look like legs. Put it that way. So they're both incredible fighters, but what I'm finding is Daniel Dubois in his last 2 in particular has looked very good, but he hasn't looked good in the sense of, he's boxed really well, he's moved, dodging punches better, he's gritted through it. And against Hrgovic, he was taking those right hands early on, and he gritted through and he got to him. You can't do that with Joshua. You can't. Look at that man. He looks like a Greek god. You can't grit through a fight with Anthony Joshua. You can't. I just think where Dubois is open and where Dubois is lacking, Joshua is thriving, and he's looked good in his last 2 fights. All appreciate people can say Francis Ngannou in this. Francis Ngannou took some big shots from Tyson Fury, didn't faze him. Joshua slept him like a narcotic, didn't he? I just think you can't take those right hands from Joshua, and I think Dubois will. So I think Joshua will knock out Daniel Dubois within 4 rounds.
4 rounds? 4 rounds.
So, you'd have to say AJ, but Dubois is no mug. And he'll come in there very game and well, and I feel like he's like he's crossed the bridge mentally, Dubois. And I feel like he's done well in his last few performances mentally. The Hrgovic fight showed a few weaknesses, like Hrgovic couldn't really miss him with the backhand for the first 2-3 rounds, and I think there's a difference between the Hrgovic backhand and an AJ's backhand. So I mean, if that's adjusted, it could be a better fight than what we expect, but for me it'll be AJ.
I think AJ wins. I think AJ wins. I think he'll stop him in early rounds. I've seen Daniel Dubois. He always wakes up in the later rounds. But I think AJ will get him early. I generally do think that Dubois. I think Dubois can come again though if he does lose. He's still so young. Obviously he's taken a lot of punches as well. So we'll see. But I do see AJ winning that fight quite comfortably, really.
Unbelievable fight, I believe. You know, stylistically, it's a really good blend. I just believe maybe he's getting AJ at the wrong time, because if he'd have got him 12 months ago, I'd be like, flip a coin and see who wins that one. It's a real toss up. But I just believe that AJ's probably coming into the best form of his career at the minute, and he's probably not at the right time for Daniel. But everyone's eyes will be on that fight if he gets made.
Yeah, I sparred with Dubois this year. We were very close in all the sparring session. It's a good fight because Dubois is very strong. He has a very good right hand. But I saw Joshua. I saw that he's back. He's back stronger than before. And Joshua has a lot of experience in 12 rounds fight, 10 rounds fight. Joshua fought with Klitschko 10 years ago. So Joshua know how to do in the ring. I think that Joshua, he will win that fight.
I just think Anthony Joshua has turned into a different fighter the last couple of fights since he's been with Ben Davison. I think he's a very, very good coach. And to be honest with you, I think Anthony Joshua does him within a couple of rounds. I think Dubois is quite easy to hit. And AJ is so technically very good. He's underrated as a fighter. His boxing ability, and I think he gets him out there, and he hits very hard as well. So I think he gets him out there within a couple of rounds. But saying that, Dubois always pulls off these wins when you don't think he is going to. So it's a proper pick 'em, but I'm going to go AJ within 5 rounds out.
I think it's key for every fighter. In every fight, mentality is absolutely crucial. So that plays a part in every fight. You look at skill, you look at ability, you look at recent results, you look at performances. Can he take a shot? Can he deliver a shot? Can he go into the late rounds? All of those things you've got to build up and then weigh them up and then make your decision as to who you think is going to win the fight. I mean, Joshua would be a favourite, but Dubois can knock him out. Believe me, he can knock anybody out if he hits him on the chin. And, he showed against Hrgovic, he had to take some stick and he came back and he overwhelmed him. And I know the cut-eye was what stopped it eventually, but he was completely on top. Can he win the fight? Absolutely. All he needs is a half a second and he can end this fight. So don't doubt that. You still got to make Joshua a slight favourite.
Well, this is very different, right? Obviously, I rate Hrgovic to an extent, obviously, and I like him. I think he's a good fighter. But you're talking about an elite level heavyweight here, who is proven and tested at the very top level of the sport. Yeah, in Anthony Joshua, and we have to give him respect and credit here. He's looked great on his comeback with Ben Davison. In fairness, against very limited opposition, but we can't give Ngannou much respect boxing wise. We can't, or if any respect really, to an extent, and we definitely can't Otto Ireland is what he is. He's a decent B, maybe C level heavyweight, like gatekeeper, I would say, but he ain't a world level heavyweight, and he's stylistically made for Joshua as well. But he looked great in both those fights, and that's what we have to be on it. And compared to Helenius' fight, he looks a lot better, because Helenius was tagging him. I mean, Joshua's face weren't very pretty after that fight, he did get tagged a fair bit, and I'd say it was pretty even going into that round. He definitely was winning a couple of rounds, Helenius. But yeah, in that honest, he looks like he's getting a lot better. Dan Davison has kind of found a way to mould the two Joshuas together. So where you had the ruthless AJ back in the day, and it was just kind of knockout always, and I bet he would get tagged a lot. And then he went to the defensive AJ that worked behind the jab, was just happy to kind of be out behind the jab for 10 or 12 rounds. He kind of moulded that together, which is what AJ needed. And we've got the aggressor. So when he smells blood and he's got the guy hurt, he takes him out. But he sets it up perfectly and sets it up nicely. Now, and that's what I think Ben Davison, Lee Wiley, Barry Smith have done a great job in doing. They've moulded that together. And I think that makes a very, very dangerous Anthony Joshua, who could possibly be the best in division now.
Yeah. I see, he's really punching, He's really going for it. But I also believe, the fight with Dubois is not going a lot of rounds, man. I believe in the first 6 rounds, AJ will knock him out.
Joshua KO. I just think Dubois is really on a good form, but he gets caught too much for my liking. And you can't get caught with power like Joshua, because it's lights out. I've always said this, if Joshua catches anybody in the world, it's lights out. And we're going to see, I still believe we're going to see the best Anthony Joshua. I think he's learned a lot from his defeats with Usyk and Ruiz, and he's joining with Ben Davison, who I think's a phenomenal coach and tactician. I just think Joshua holds too much power, but it's a great fight, and I respect Dubois massively for what he's done, because when he fought Joe Joyce, most people write him off. But he's come back. He had a close fight with Usyk. You know, just beat Ergovic. He keeps proving people wrong. And respect to him and Frank Warren, they've done a great job on him. Great promotional job on him. But I believe Joshua just holds too much power for him.
AJ, both can bang. Dubois is a top lad, but I think the ages with AJ at this moment in time. Seems got that bit of spite behind him again. That's not to say that Dubois lands on everyone. He can't end the show because he can, but the ages with AJ at the minute.
Josh?
I'm back in Dubois. Okay. Yeah. You know, Dubois, I've spent a bit of time with him. He's a team Queensbury as well, you know, so it'd be wrong not to.
I think AJ wins. I think AJ will stop him. When? Who knows? But I think he's big, he's strong, and not to say Daniel isn't at all. But I just think AJ is just slightly sharper. Again, been in the game a little bit longer, a bit more used to the big stage, the big events. So again, not to take away anything from Daniel, he's had some massive fights himself, but just that level of comfort of being sat in that kind of moment, I think AJ will rise to that.
Yeah, massive fight. It's cool that it's going to be in England too, isn't it? So that's real cool. But I think, I'm probably biased. I'm a Joshua fan, but I think Joshua beats him. I think he probably knocks him out. I think if you look at like you're only as good as your last performance, right? So if you look at Dubois' last performance against Hrgovic, he ate about 100 backhands in the first couple rounds. And I think if Joshua lands that same backhand, he'll probably fight over.
It's another interesting one, isn't it? You can't go against Joshua. Even at this point of his career, people saying he's hungry, all of these things. Similar to the situation we were just talking about with Canelo. But Dubois, he's got the fire in his belly, hasn't he? He had that great performance against Usyk. And may the best man win. I've always been a Joshua fan. He's done a lot for the sport, inspired myself as well. And so, I'm looking forward to that one. If you ask me who I'm going with, I'd lean towards Joshua.
Oh, I can't say, to be honest, because both boys got that one punch knockout power. So I'm just gonna keep my nose out. I don't really know who to favour in that fight. If it's on experience, I'll have to back Anthony Joshua.
I see an AJ knockout. I think it could be quite early as well.
Again, I've gone with the unpopular decision of backing Dubois. I've obviously seen a lot of the other heavyweights doing the interviews saying the sparring stories, especially lads who sparred them both, and they say how hard Dubois is. He's gaining experience. He's coming off a very good win against Filip Hrgovic, so he'll be confident. Obviously, Joshua will be confident and coming off his win. But I just feel like when Joshua does get it, he can sometimes fall to pieces. And I know people say, well, Dubois quit, but his eye were badly damaged against Joyce, but he's since had the fight. I forget the fella's name who he fought, who Dubois were down 3 times in round one. Where at round one?
Lerena.
Yeah. So he were down 3 times in round one and he got back up and he got the job done. So I feel like he put a lot of demons to bed there, having been put down 3 times and getting back up and then finishing the job. I think it went next round, wasn't it? So that's going to give him confidence. Am I right in saying Dubois has now been upgraded to the champion as well?
Yeah.
So that might add a little 10% in, a couple of percent to his confidence as well. So I'm backing Dubois by stoppage.
Anthony was a real good guy. One of the most down to earth, humble men. I speak to a lot of people and they say, "Oh, it's all an act," and they say, "But I promise you, it's not. The guy is just a genuine nice guy. He'd do anything to help anyone." And he works hard. He deserves everything that comes his way, and he's looking really well underneath Ben Davison. And I think, I think he's going to do really well, and I can't wait to hopefully see him, victorious again.
I personally think that Joshua stops Dubois. That's my personal opinion, but obviously each to their. Yeah, that's how I see it going.
People, and Daniel Dubois is a live dog in that fight. I'm not going to say I think he's going to win because I think AJ's the favourite, especially the form AJ's on. But Daniel Dubois is a live dog in that fight, and I think it's a 6-round shootout of a fight.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't actually care, mate, but I'll go AJ.
AJ has sort of put together what he's learnt from McCracken to the other trainers he's worked with to now with Ben Davison. I think that sort of all come together. But at the same time, I think he's found some spite in his locker. And I've always thought that was a little bit lacking in his game. And I think that spite is there right now. And he's going to be very difficult to put the brakes on him right now. I fancy him within the distance.
I've always thought AJ steamrolled him, if I'm being brutally honest. But as it's getting closer and it's building up, I'm getting sucked into the Dubois hype train. I'm thinking this actually could be a fight. This could actually be a real fire fight. I've been impressed with Dubois recently. He's brought something else to the table. Frank has really cracked the whip with him, and he's really driven him to be a different man to what he was. You've seen at the start of the career, he was really shy, he was really coy, he would have been behind a mask a lot of the time. He didn't know how to face adversity. And I think he has took him as he's fought Usyk away from home. He's lost to Joe Joyce through lockdown. He's had a lot of ups and downs, but he's overcame a lot. So I think he's more of a live dog than I initially give him credit for. But I still think AJ in explosive fashion, but in an explosive fight, I think he does him within 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah, look, Dubois has kind of resurged his career a little bit there as well, hasn't he? Come off the back of a couple stoppage losses as well, and people kind of ruled him out a little bit, and people starting to question his heart a bit. But he's had a couple of good wins and had a good win over Hrgović also. But I think AJ's the same. He's vitalised his career also. He's probably looking better than Dubois at the moment, I think, and I definitely have to lean in AJ's favour. I think Hrgović was starting to pin Dubois a lot with the right hand in their fight for as long as it lasted, and I think that was AJ land that right hand. I don't know if he's going to be able to take as many, so I'll probably lean towards AJ and probably mid-round stoppage. I reckon probably 6 or 7 rounds. I think that's my verdict.
He just can't be reckless, which I feel like he will be, which is why I think AJ wins. But he can't afford to be reckless because that could be dangerous for him.
Well, definitely Anthony Joshua, but not the margin that people would suspect. So I reckon it's like a 55-60 to a 40-45 split in favour of Anthony Joshua. As we spoke about last night, Dubois can seriously whack, sparred him loads. Right hands can shake you to your absolute core. Like they shake you. I remember I got hit by one, it was like an electric shock going through my body. But then again, I ain't sparred Joshua and I know how hard he can hit just from who he's knocked out and what he's done to people. But the jab of Dubois as well was like a right hand. So although I can't speak about sparring Joshua, I know that Dubois ain't no joke, and coming off great wins like Jarrell Miller and Filip Hrgović, who's been that sort of bogeyman after the last 2-3 years, to deal with him is it's not going to be an easy night for Joshua. But one thing that makes me think Joshua will win, the amount of right hands that Hrgović hit Dubois with, Joshua, if he lands on right hands, it's going to be night.
I mean, you look, I have to go with Joshua on the experience again, right? So Joshua has the experience, but, they both, this is going to be a good fight because both of them are on the upswing. Dubois has been at, he's finally challenged for a world title when he fought Usyk. Didn't come through, the mental pressure and everything like that might have got to him in a moment, but you build resilience off of that. And that's what happened in the Jarrell Miller fight. He built up the resilience in his mind to keep going, to keep pushing. So he's going to be there. But Joshua's been on this level many a times. He's been here a lot more. The belt is on the line, and Dubois is the champion, but at the same time, he's never actually won the belt. So, we'll have to just see what happens on the night. But I would lean into the experience, just in the moment, And not even that, just like I say, it's going to be a close fight. You never know. It's heavyweight boxing, and between both of these guys are both big units, both big punchers. So it could be a little bit like, okay, what do you fancy more when you look at them stylistically? But you know, Josh is working with me. Come on, man, he'll be all right.
And that fight with AJ, I hope that comes off because you know he's a young man as well, still young, and AJ's you know probably at his pinnacle. I think he's got a great chance, Daniel Dubois, for sure. Fantastic chance.
And he's been around the block now. He's a fully mature man, Joshua. So that's the reason I edged towards him. But the other one's a young fighter, plenty of talent. He wants it as well. Seems to have grown a lot from his failures. He's come on a lot. So it's again, with all these type of fights, Joshua's got to be on his total A game plus.
You know, you always give a heavyweight or any fighter a chance, but you know, if you could compare the two guys and the way that they're fighting and the power that they've been showing, Joshua does look the favorite, and I'm sure everyone else would agree. But you can never count Dubois out. Like a lot of people going into the Hrgovic fight, I thought Hrgovic was the favorite, so I was very wrong. And Dubois showed great determination. And he was very consistent with starting the rounds very fast, and he was able just to push him back and frustrate Hrgovic. So I do give him a chance, but it's quite like, I mean, Josh will be the favorite.
Anyways, I actually fancy Joshua in the fight. He is fighting well these days, and I just don't think I don't think Dubois will have the tools to test AJ's heart the way Usyk did twice and Andy Ruiz did once.
I think AJ will beat him, but it'll be a good fight because AJ's no fought anybody since, well, Usyk. He's no, you know, I mean, he can't, he done what he should have done against the MMA guy. He beat the guy on a week's notice who failed the drugs test.
Hellenius, yeah.
Hellenius, and who else did he beat there? Who did he beat the last fight? Was it Hellenius?
No, the last fight was Ngannou, and then Hellenius before that, wasn't it? And then I'm trying to remember.
No, Hellenius.
Otto Wallin.
Who? Oscar
beat
Wallin.
Otto Wallin as well, didn't he? Yeah.
Who got beat against Sosolowski and never got a decision.
Oh yeah, I remember that fight.
Yeah, so look, I mean, I'm not knocking AJ, but his opponents haven't been of the highest quality, which may play into Daniel's hands. But you know, if Daniel beat AJ, get him to come and fight Matt Bacoli, because I'll guarantee you won't. Frank Warren said in an interview yesterday they would take the fight with Matt Bacoli. No, they won't.
I think AJ stops Dubois. I think Dubois is going to put up a great effort, but you know, I think that the last couple of tactics of him, you know, he was blocking with his head and kind of doing some funny stuff in his last fight, even though he pushed through it and he won. But I think he also was beating a not the greatest version of Hrgovic, you know. But you know, not trying to take anything from him, but I just think that Anthony Joshua is going to be much more ready. He's much more fine-tuned. He has the upper hand, you know what I'm saying? He has much more a stake to lose and stuff like that. I just don't see it happening for Daniel Dubois. I think Daniel Dubois gets knocked out.
The way I look at Dubois' recent performance, I think he's on the surge. He's definitely on the surge. After knocking out Hrgovic with devastating fashion, his confidence is up there, and his dedication is up there. So I believe with the full training camp, with the proper training camp, he's going to be a big threat to Joshua. So in this fight, Joshua has to really, really pay attention to a lot of details.
So AJ's got that ferocious power to stop anybody in their tracks, and so does Daniel Dubois. So it makes for a really good fight. I think that fight is
a fight where he who lands first and he who has the authority from the get-go is the one who will win. They both got power. It's obvious. It's obvious. They're heavyweights. They're both big men. Obviously, Anthony Joshua has been in much bigger fights in the sense of he's fought the best, he's lost to the best, and he's come back and in a great way, in phenomenal fashion. So you got to say to yourself, who's taking the experience into the fight? Anthony Joshua. Who's taking youth into the fight? Daniel Dubois. Who's taking power into the fight? The both of them. And don't talk about who's taking chin into the fight, because this is heavyweight boxing. It takes one shot and the fight's over. So an exciting fight for both guys. And if that fight is made, if AJ and Dubois' team are able to make that fight, good luck to both of them. It's a massive fight. They say September in Wembley. Good luck to both of them. It's may the best man win, but could go either way. But I'm going to say it's a hard fight for Daniel Dubois. Anthony Joshua is just as confident and he's very locked in. And I think his new trainer, Ben Davidson, is doing the world of good for him. But you can say the same about Daniel. Since he's changed trainers, it's kind of seen a different Daniel Dubois, a different demeanor. So you got to always be objective. It makes for a very good fight.
Every heavyweight fight's a dangerous, close fight until you get in the ring and get hit. I think Anthony Joshua's far too clean, polished, experienced for Daniel Dubois. You can't write Daniel Dubois off. I think it was a career best performance from Daniel Dubois. He boxed with confidence, pace, pressure. He wasn't clean, but he grew. He grew in the ring. He grew in front of us, and I thought, well, good on you. I think Anthony Joshua should deal with Daniel Dubois. Too clean, too correct, too mature. And as long as he goes in with the right attitude, letting the hands go, like we now start to see that, letting the hands go, as long as everything's intact, Anthony Joshua should get the job done.
AJ within 6. Yeah, that's what I think. I've been saying that. Yeah, AJ within 6.
Why so resoundingly?
I'm a big AJ fan, but I think Dubois gets caught with the right hand too much. And since Ben Davidson's got in AJ's corner, I think AJ's realised how much of an animal he really is. And he catches you with that double jab backhand. I don't think there's many people that can withstand it. As much as Dubois got a chin, and I've seen him get caught and things like that, I think AJ wipes him out quickly.
Been impressed with
who hits harder? Look, let me put it this way. I think that Joshua is everywhere a little bit better in every single aspect than what Dubois is. So I think Joshua can punch a little bit harder. Joshua can box a little bit better. Joshua can pick his shots a little bit better. Joshua is a little bit tougher. Joshua got a little bit better football. I think maybe Joshua has also probably got more intensity when he wants to. He can be really, really, intense. Whereas Dubois also has that bounce. Like Dubois is really in your face all the time as well. So probably on that aspect, I would say that they're even. But to answer your question, I think Joshua is just a little bit better in every aspect. Nothing crazy, we're dealing at a very extremely high level, but I think that Joshua is just a little bit better in every aspect. So I think Joshua should, win the fight. I think.
Favour AJ. You have to favour AJ in the fight, but it doesn't. Both big, strong, athletic men. Any man can win the fight, but I have to favour AJ.
I think it depends how much punishment Dubois can take early on, because he is going to land clean, heavy shots early on, I think, AJ. And it's just a matter of, I think Dubois can take them from a concussive point of view. I think he can take the shots and keep going. It's whether his face holds up maybe. He is easy to hit with the right hand. We've seen that in the Ergovic fight. He was catching him repeatedly, big right hands, but he was walking through them. I think it's a different story with Anthony Joshua. I think AJ's probably going to win late on. I think he'll start well. Dubois will come back into it, couple of scares for AJ, and then I think he'll pull it out the bag in the mid to late rounds.
I just feel like in amongst the conversation, discourse about this fight, a lot of people are kind of going with, and fair enough, it all does apply. It will apply to pretty much any heavyweight fight when it comes to, whoever kind of lands first heavyweight boxing. Any punch can change the outcome of the direction of the fight. Fair enough, if you want to say that, and go 50-50 and say whoever lands that punch first, Joshua Dubois, can win win that fight there. Fair enough if that's the way you feel about it. But I just wonder if it's kind of been overlooked a little bit, the actual boxing IQ of both fighters, and really kind of that's what's going to get whoever does win the fight over the line. When I've been asking fighters about this fight, I've been asking about the defensive capabilities of Daniel Dubois, because the conversation after the Hrgović fight was how leaky Daniel Dubois' defense had been for the Hrgović fight. Now, I have the feeling that he fought that way because he really wanted to get at Filip Hrgović, and he just proved that, look, if it was going to happen, then he was going to self-destruct, or at least try and destroy Filip Hrgović before he self-destructed, I guess. But I don't think he's going to fight that same sort of way against Joshua, at least not in the early rounds, and he might then open up to being a bit more gung-ho, because Dubois loves to, really kind of throw those hooks in, really kind of looks to destroy his opponents. And when it comes to AJ, people are really kind of wanting to talk about the destructive AJ of the past and whether we'll see a return to that. But that's just not how AJ fights at all now. And with Ben Davison in this corner, talking about game plans, talking about setting up shots and finding that shot and finding that moment, like with Helenius, he takes his time for that moment. And I don't think he's going to be looking to engage unless he really has to, or the opportunity or the scenario that they've worked on really kind of elapses. So I really feel like this is going to be a battle of kind of wits here and reaction between the two of them. These are still two hungry fighters. Zhang alluded to when I spoke to him, he said, like, I think I asked him about AJ and what he thinks about AJ as a fighter. I think I might have asked him his prediction of the Dubois fight. I have to go back and double check this, but he kind of said the words of, like, AJ's a businessman now. He's got kind of one foot out the door, and this is the opportunity for Dubois to really capitalize upon that. For me, I've got a feeling about Dubois, and I will reserve this, like I did with Fury. I will reserve my Fury Usyk. I will reserve my proper prediction, if that means anything to anyone, up until fight week, because I'm liable to flitter back and forth between the two of them. But I like the momentum of Daniel Dubois. I do like the want to go and really push and get that knockout for Daniel Dubois. I think he's proved something in this the conversation surrounding his heart. I think Don Charles has brought a real balance to his corner. I think he's took the baton from Shane McGuigan aptly as well, and those foundations that Shane and other trainers of the past that have put into Daniel Dubois. I think he's really carried that on well, and he's not tried to defashion Dubois. Really, it's just a little couple of tweaks and a bit of confidence there that Don Charles has imparted upon Daniel that's really kind of helped him shine through. And I just feel like this is good timing for Daniel, who's had the better opposition between the two, as opposed to a tailored opposition or familiar opposition like Wallin or like an Ngannou. I think that those will really pay dividends. And right now, I'm picking Dubois to win that fight.
Wow, this is a clip out. This is perfect. Yeah, I am probably still picking AJ. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get over the golf in experience and general quality of opposition. Like Dubois' quality of opposition over the last 3 fights has been far superior to Joshua's. And he's come through his 2 toughest tests in his previous 2 fights, which is pretty impressive. But over the course of his career, AJ's fought pretty much everyone, except Fury, of course. But, Usyk, Joseph Parker, a lot of the guys that are having resurgences recently or, still in and around the top 10. Joshua's already fought them, and the majority he's defeated. Povetkin, who was still useful, he dealt with him pretty well. So many kind of underrated, perhaps, victories, performances on AJ's ledger as well. Dubois is going to be coming into this highly motivated, nothing to lose. He can come back from a defeat here just as he did against Alexander Usyk and previous to that, Joe Joyce. But it is kind of levels, isn't it? And I think AJ is, again, a higher level than Jarrell Miller and a higher level than Filip Hrgović, who, I don't want to make excuses, but he didn't look as good as I've seen him in the past, Hrgović, and hasn't for some time, in fairness. I think with Hrgović, he stayed in that number 1 position with the sanctioning body for too long. And I think he kind of withered on the vine a little bit. But that's not to discount Dubois' career best performance in beating him and coming through a difficult first 2 rounds to do so as well. But I just think he could trouble AJ early, particularly with the jab. I've seen this fight compared to Lennox Lewis against Frank Bruno, in that Bruno was out jabbing Lewis early on. But then once Lewis kind of got into his rhythm and started catching Bruno kind of slowly but inexorably fell apart. And I see a similar thing here. I think AJ can maybe start a bit too slow, but take his time, weather the storm, come out on top, start out boxing his opponent, and ultimately find the gaps as Dubois tires, as he's prone to do in the second half of fights. And as Dubois tires, kind of pick him apart for a highlight reel stoppage, but one where both men come out with credit. You know, AJ proves that he's still got plenty left in the tank. Dubois shows that he can hang at what is the real top level and can come again, just with a bit more seasoning and a bit more experience. But yeah, who knows if I'm right or wrong.
He just has to believe in himself, you know, believe in himself and believe that he's going to win and, you know, be smart in there, you know, try not to get hit with these big shots because he is strong, you know, he's big. But anything is possible, man. Anything is possible. Just exactly like Whyte won, anybody else could win. All they have to do is believe in themselves and work hard. Work hard, man, and be smart. I know he is in a two-win streak, right?
Yeah.
And you never know. Anything could happen.
Troy McHauser's is just kind of one-sided. It's not one-sided. I do think KJ wins the fight because I do think that Dubois gets hit too easy. But this fight carries a lot of jeopardy. And if Dubois was to knock KJ out, I wouldn't be overly surprised. It wouldn't be like a Ruiz moment. It wouldn't be anything like that, you know? And Dubois' confidence at the moment is just right up there.
The right time.
Oh yeah, Daniel's gonna win this.
Why are you so? I know you're a very spiritual man.
Yeah.
But try and give the non-spiritual people some faith in.
Yeah,
Daniel.
I think Daniel's the time is. It's all about timing, and I think the time is right. He's maturing. He's getting stronger within himself, and he's knowing himself a lot better. And he's just gonna knock him out.
Is
I think that you favour AJ because he's obviously vastly experienced, got great sort of speed and power. So he might be able to get the shot off quicker. As in, like if AJ lands a right hand clean the way that Hergovich was landing, AJ got anyone out. But then, you know, the problem is that if it doesn't get him out of there straight away, obviously, as we've seen from his last fight, what's name's always punching Dan. So we saw it even against Uzek, we saw it against Miller, we've seen his last fight. One thing he's going to do is he's going to grit down and he's going to throw 2-3 punches at a time, and when he looks tired, he's going to keep going. I don't know how a man his size has that kind of engine, but he does. So I think it would be up to AJ to get him under manners quickly and early and sort of establish himself in a fight and dominate. Otherwise, it'll be a really hard night.
I think AJ's too clever and he is too strong. Dubois had a good fight, but you could see in the first few rounds that he wasn't 100% there. He did have a good performance, but I think AJ's too experienced and has got too much on him.
And here we have the final scores after talking to 50 different people about Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. 42 of the 50 back Anthony Joshua to get the result, while only 8 back Daniel Dubois. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and who you think wins. But until then, thank you for watching and speak again soon.